Okay, The Last of Us Episode 5, that was a straight-up emotional punch to the face. We've got character deaths, moral dilemmas, and trauma layered like a post-apocalyptic onion, hit like if you felt even a little emotionally unstable after this one. Drop your thoughts below, and be sure to subscribe if you love getting wrecked with us weekly. Episode 5 of The Last of Us. Season 2, titled Feel Her Love, does not just nudge the narrative forward. It drags it, bleeding, through the mud of morality and the weight of vengeance. What starts as a tense continuation of Ellie and Dina's journey through Seattle becomes something far more suffocating. The emotional core of the episode is blistering. Every character trembles under the weight of consequence. Every silence carries grief like a scream caught in the throat. A descent into darkness. The episode opens in a city that feels colder than ever. Seattle is not a city anymore. It is a body, bruised, infected, collapsing from the inside. Ellie and Dina move through its waterlogged bones, searching, not just for Abby, but for something Ellie cannot name, something that might make Joel's death make sense. It is Ellie who leads the charge, and her eyes never stop scanning. They are eyes that no longer hope. They search for blood, they search for names, they search for someone to hold accountable. The Lake Hill Hospital looms in the distance, gray and quiet, but filled with tension. Ellie believes one of Abby's closest allies, Nora, is stationed there. That is where the thread pulls her. On the surface, the hospital appears to be a stronghold for the WLF, but beneath it lies a different kind of horror. Not infected, not soldiers, a reckoning of the soul. Before Ellie reaches that reckoning, the episode takes her through the underground tunnels, flooded and filled with spores. Here, the episode makes a bold visual decision. The lighting grows dim, and the air thickens. We feel Ellie's isolation like a pressure on the chest. She moves through these tunnels like a ghost. Alive? Yes, but no longer part of the same world as the rest of us. Her immunity allows her to walk through poison. It should make her powerful. Instead, it sets her apart, like a curse. The chase and the breaking point. When Ellie arrives at the hospital, she makes quick work of the guards. She is not sneaking anymore. She is slicing. She moves like someone who already knows that what comes next will scar her. She finds Nora, and what follows is one of the most terrifying sequences in the show so far. Nora runs. She bolts down dark corridors lined with decaying gurneys and overturned cabinets. Ellie follows. The tension is unbearable. We hear their footsteps echo. The distant screech of the infected grows louder. The lighting flickers, shadows dance. When Nora reaches the lower levels, the show drops us into hell. Spores swirl in the air. The infected writhe in cells. Rot coats the walls. This is where Ellie corners her, and the camera stays. It does not cut away. We are there, locked in the room with them. Nora coughs violently, already breathing in the spores. She knows she is dying. Ellie demands information. Nora resists. Ellie raises the pipe, then silence. A silence so loud it chokes. We do not see what Ellie does next, not directly, but the aftermath says everything. Her hands shake, her eyes are wild. When she returns to Dina, she does not speak. She collapses beside her, trembling. This is not victory. This is something else, something hollow, something that cannot be named. Ellie's transformation. This episode marks the moment where Ellie crosses a line that she can never uncross. Until now, she was a girl hollowed out by grief. Her violence had a direction. Her rage had a reason. Joel's death had carved something open in her, and she was chasing closure with clenched fists. But here, that clarity slips. Her choices become less about revenge and more about something far darker. A hunger, a need to hurt, a need to make others feel what she feels. The transformation is subtle at first, but by the time she corners Nora, it is undeniable. Ellie does not just want answers. She wants to break someone. Her stare is unblinking. Her voice carries no tremor. What she does in that room beneath the hospital is not heroic, not even rational. It is terrifying, and it terrifies her too. The camera does not need to show it. The aftermath speaks loud enough. Her hands shake. Her silence screams. There is a moment later, small but chilling, where Ellie catches her reflection in a broken mirror. Her face is distorted, her eyes unrecognizable. It is not the blood that startles her. It is the emptiness. The show does not offer comfort. It does not defend her actions. It only shows what happens when someone stares into the abyss and feels it stare back. Dina. Throughout the chaos, Dina remains the only thread tethering Ellie to anything resembling humanity. But even Dina is worn thin. She is sick, she is afraid, and she is watching someone she loves become consumed by something she cannot control. Her concern is visible in every scene, every time she reaches for Ellie and hesitates, every time she tries to speak but chooses silence instead. There is a quiet, gut-wrenching moment where Ellie returns, her hands red, her face numb. Dina simply places a hand on her shoulder. No questions, no judgment, just presence. That touch lingers. It is the kind of gesture that says, "I see what you are becoming, and I am still here, for now." But the episode makes it clear, love is not always enough. Not when pain becomes your purpose. Nora. Nora is not a villain, and that is what makes her death hit so hard. She is caught in a war that swallowed everyone. She was there when Joel died, yes, but she was also a medic, a healer, a woman who tried to do good within the ruins. In her final moments, she chooses defiance over fear. She tells Ellie to go to hell. She says it with breath she barely has left. And in that moment, Nora becomes more than a character. She becomes a mirror. Her refusal to beg is not pride, it is clarity, a final grip on her own humanity, even in the face of Ellie's unraveling. Themes running the episode. The episode's title, Feel Her Love, takes on several meanings. It refers to the graffiti scattered throughout the city, warning of the Seraphites, but it also speaks to Ellie's internal torment. She is trying to feel something, maybe Joel's love, maybe her own humanity, but all she finds is rage, revenge. This episode is soaked in it. Revenge fuels every decision Ellie makes, but the show never presents it as powerful or righteous. It presents it as corrosive, as something that eats from the inside out. Ellie's eyes are darker now. Her choices are colder. There is no sense of justice, only repetition. Kill, question, move on, break, repeat, isolation. Ellie's immunity has always set her apart, but here it becomes more symbolic than ever. She walks where no one else can. She breathes death and keeps walking. This physical separation mirrors her emotional one. No one can reach her anymore, not even Dina, especially not herself. Memory and guilt. Scattered through the episode are flashbacks, brief but glowing. We see Ellie and Joel laughing over a dumb pun. We see her strumming a guitar. We see a moment of peace, now gone. These glimpses do not interrupt the flow. They haunt it. They remind us of who Ellie used to be, of what was lost, and of what she thinks she must do to make it mean something. Visual and auditory mastery. Visually, the episode is suffocating. The hospital feels more like a tomb than a medical facility. The walls drip with moisture. The air feels heavy. The use of spores as a visual motif is brilliant. They swirl around Ellie like spirits, like memories, like ghosts that will never leave her. The sound design elevates everything. Every footstep echoes like a threat. Every creak in the walls feels like a warning. The infected do not scream as much as they whisper. You do not just hear the horror, you feel it creeping up your spine. Pacing and direction. There is no rush in this episode. The show lets scenes breathe. It lets pain sit. It does not run toward the next explosion or the next shootout. It lingers. It holds you in discomfort. It forces you to sit with Ellie in the aftermath. The director understands that emotional horror lasts longer than anything else. Comparison to the game. Fans of the game will recognize this episode as a direct lift from one of its darkest chapters. But the show does more than replicate. It expands. It leans into the emotional aftermath with more detail, more silence, more ache. The hospital scene in the game is brutal. In the show, it is unbearable, because here we see more than action. We see the cracks spreading across Ellie's soul. Final reflection. Feel Her Love is not just an episode. It is a good example of what vengeance does to a person. It strips away all pretenses. It shows how justice can rot into obsession. It forces us to ask whether some things are better left unanswered. This is what happened to Ellie. She is no longer the girl who dreamed of seeing space. She is no longer the one who found comfort in puns and comic books. She is something else now. And that transformation is not beautiful. It is heartbreaking. This episode does not offer hope, but it does offer truth. The kind of truth that sticks in your throat long after the credits roll. And maybe that is the point. This episode had no chill, and honestly, neither do we. We've been covering every moment of TLOU Season 2, so binge those previous reviews if you're catching up. Like the video, comment your hottest take, and subscribe if emotional damage is your love language. See you in the next breakdown.